Hi, welcome to Virtually Sunday. My name is Tony Pickler, Mission Outreach Director for Resurrection Parish in Green Bay. Here I am at Resurrection in front of a tree that has been cut down for our Lenten season, and that'll come into play here as we talk about this reflection. Almost 30 years ago, when my wife and I relocated to West Appear from Appleton, the house we bought didn't have any trees. So we had the city plant a couple of trees on the easement between the sidewalk and the street. And the kids kept coming home with evergreen seedlings, some which made it to maturity and others who perished under the hot sun with a lack of moisture. One year, I decided to bring a small tree, a seedling really, home from our family cottage in central Wisconsin. It was a red oak, and after a summer of mistreatment by its owner, that'd be me, it didn't show any promise of growth, so I mowed it over with the lawnmower. And lo and behold, the next spring, a little shoot sprouted up, but I mowed that over too. But then the shoot returned, so I decided to give it a chance, seeing that this resilient tree was only trying its best to survive until under my careless regime. We moved away from that house 25 years ago, but that little tree, the one that was mowed over time and time again, has grown into a full-fledged, mature tree that stands 25 to 30 feet tall. Whereas the tree showed great resiliency, the owner, me, didn't show much patience at all during the early years of its life. The gospel for this Sunday from St. Luke presents us with the story of the fig tree that isn't producing fruit. The owner wants to cut it down, kind of like that crazy guy from West Appear. But the gardener pleads with the owner to give the tree another chance. Instead of mowing it down, perhaps a little additional care with fertilizer and water and sunlight will help this young tree to grow into maturity, producing good fruit for the owner. Patience. That seems to be the key concept here, which brings us to the first reading from the book of Exodus. In this story, Moses is tending his father-in-law's flock of sheep. He comes to Mount Horeb and there confronts a burning bush, one that seemingly is not being consumed by the fire. Moses encounters God in that burning bush and is given the task of leading the people out of bondage and out of slavery. When Moses questions God about how God wants to be addressed by the people, God gives to Moses the name Yahweh. I am who am, perfect being. But here's the part of the story that I think ties into the patience of the gospel this week. Imagine God in that burning bush, not just for a few minutes or hours or even days. Maybe that unconsuming fire of God was burning for years. And imagine that Moses wasn't the first person to notice the burning bush. Perhaps shepherd after shepherd wandered past, took note of the burning bush, but didn't engage with it. What patience God must have had until that one special day, that one shining moment when Moses takes note, takes off his shoes, and enters into a loving, covenantal relationship with God. Patience. How patient are we as we make this journey through Lent? Do we cut down, rip apart, and plunder everything that doesn't show immediate growth or results? That certainly seems to be our American fast food way, as we are not necessarily known for our patience as a people. Or do we try to cultivate our relationships, coaxing growth out of what seemingly seems dead? As we near the halfway point of this Lenten season, maybe it's time to take stock of where we are finding God these days. Is it in a burning bush? In our family members? A neighbor? Co-workers? Friends? In nature? And to take stock in our patience barometer. How patient are we with our relationships, with those around us, and with nature as we lovingly care for it? God lovingly has patience with us. How patient are we with ourselves and one another? Have a great week.